Hey, what's up guys? It's Art Book Addiction here, and we're here with a new artist journey video. So today, we're going to be talking about safe for work versus not safe for work, alright? So it's the age-old question, do I go the sexy route or do I go the non-sexy route, right? And, like sometimes there's crossover, it depends on what kind of artist you are, obviously what you're comfortable with, like outputting, right? But I wanted to kind of talk about this subject and like kind of discuss like what are the benefits and negative aspects of doing not safe for work, right? And just kind of explore that space a little bit, just like kind of try to demystify these little aspects of it, right? So that's what we talk about today. But before we start the video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Check my prints and Patreon if you want to support the channel. Consider becoming a channel member. And with that, let's get into it. So, not safe for work, okay? The sexy, okay? The lewd, right? I'm mostly going to be talking about not safe for work in this video because safe for work is just like, it's just the regular stuff, right? And then I'm just going to be comparing that to the not safe for work to the safe for work, right? And like kind of like the little benefits and negativities of it. You get what I'm saying, right? So obviously the first thing to talk about, right, is the fact that not safe for work, right? The one of the not benefits is like you can't really show it to like your friends and your family members, right? Like depending on who you are, right? But like in most cases I would, you know what I mean? Like you can't really share it with people who are in your life, like in fear of probably judgment or something, right? Maybe you like there's a couple people you could show it to, maybe fellow artists, right? But like in most cases it's probably something that you keep to yourself, right? And because of that, like there's kind of a loss, right, where yes, you could do better online, right, because online, not safe for work is king, right, for obvious reasons. You get what I'm saying, right? But there is kind of a loss of not being able to show people like even like your most current work, you know what I mean? Like, so you can't really discuss it as much, right? It's a lot more secretive, you know what I mean, depending on who you are, right? Maybe you're more open about it, and that's good for you, you know what I mean? Because like being able to show your work, being able to share your work, right, is a very important part of being an artist, right? And another aspect that I want to get into, right, is like there's a lot of people who don't like not safe for work, right, who are like against it, right, for whatever puritanical reason that they have, right? Or maybe they're just like they just don't want to see that in their work, in artwork, right? But all I gotta say is like it's natural, okay? Not safe for work is very natural, you know what I mean? It's natural to want to draw these things, right? Some of the most ancient depictions found of the feminine form, right, are like things that were meant to be like ooh, that's sexy. Like look at the Madonna of Willendorf, okay? Like you're like ooh, she's kind of thick, you know what I mean? She kind of, you know what I mean, right? And that speaks to our nature as humans, right? That we are at the end of the day still like animals, right? We have the desire, right? Like a lot of society is about sexual things, right? Things that are like that are tantalizing, right? Or like you know what I mean? Like there's something very human about the desire for sexiness, or something like something hot, you know what I mean, or something lewd, right? It's instantly compelling, right? So when it comes to artwork, right, sexiness is an element that can add to your artwork, right, depending on what it is, and it can also subtract, right? Like it subtracts like certain audiences, right? You know what I mean? But it brings in other types of audiences, right? Depends on like what you kind of want for your work, right? And there's like kind of like a middle line, right? Where there are things like nudes, right? Which are like, if presented in the right way, it could seem elegant. You know what I mean? I've done recently, you know, some like nudes in nature, right? And like, obviously the intent isn't to be like yeah, dude, super sexy, whoa, you know what I mean, right? It's to be like, you know, presenting nudity as like a more natural thing, right? And that can be like elegant, you know what I mean? It's not so like, um it doesn't have like the degenerate energy as like a like some, you know, some girl getting fucking, you know, like pumped, you know what I mean, getting filled to the brim, you get what I'm saying, right? um and so there's a lot of ways to implement the not safe for work nature into something that would be considered more safe for work. So there's like a middle ground. You get what I'm saying? There's a like there's a leeway from which you go. You know, you could be more elegant, or you could be more like degenerate. You get what I'm saying, right? And you know, like that depends on what kind of artist you are, right? Where you want to toe that line, and you can move that line on different pieces, right? It's up to you, okay? But there is, I have to admit, after I did those nudes, right, there is something very compelling about the nude figure, right? It's just naturally compelling, you know what I mean? There's a part of our brain that can't help but look at it, you know what I mean? Right? It's, you know, it's the animalistic part of the brain, right? And incorporating that into a beautiful art piece, right, can add to it, okay? Right? When you see, like, you know, there is like a nude figure could be seen from like across the room, because you're like, whoa, you know, and so like it engages the brain, right? You know, it activates the neuron. You get what I'm saying, right? And like, you know, what was once something that could have just been like oh yeah, that's very beautiful, right? And then you add some type of like sensuality to it, right? Then it's like the brain's like right, and like, you know, you can't ignore that aspect of not safe for work, right? Or something like a little bit more with nudity into it. You know what I mean, right? It does add something, right? You know, you can't not admit that, right? And like, you know, depending on how the artist implements it, right? It could be more acceptable or less acceptable, right? To in the eyes of others, right? In my experience, right, I think the thing that people really care about is skill. Okay, I think once you're skilled enough, people don't really care that much what you draw. Okay, right? Um, you know, obviously, there's a line, right, where like, you know, like I said, it's like nude, like an elegant nude versus like, you know, some like some girl getting fucking cum dumped. You get what I'm saying, right? Um, and that line, you know what I mean, just involves the sex part, okay, right? Um, but there is also like some artists who depict sex, right, in a like elegant light. You know what I mean? And like, and some people like it's like ooh, wow, like, you know, it's like art erotica, you know what I mean? And that's acceptable. Like someone like Ashley Wood, you know what I mean? Right? So it's like it's a weird plane in which these things exist, right? Um, but like the thing is you need to make that call, right? You make that call. You figure out what you want to depict, right? And like you, if you want to add like some like a nude to the thing, right? It could add to it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. It could really make your piece sing. Okay, right? And that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? And artists in general, like, okay, listen. Artists, we're all perverts. Okay, all of us. Okay, there is a, you know, like whatever, like people. You know, I think. Okay, to be fair, I would say that everyone is perverted on some level, right? Honestly, the people who hide it more are usually more perverted. You get what I'm saying, right? The people who are more open about it, they're like, they're like, I would say, it depends on the person, right? Obviously, but like in general, I would say that everyone is basically a pervert, right? In some form or fashion, right? Um, like how much they show is up to them, right? But it exists, right? Because we're human, right? Because we, like I said, have that natural desire, right? So how much you pull on that desire for your artwork, again, is up to you, right? So know that line, figure it out, figure out where you want to toe that line, and place it, accordingly, right? Um, Another benefit, right, to not safe for work, right, is, you get a lot of figure done, right? For those of you who don't do a lot of figure stuff, right, you you gotta admit, those not safe for work artists, their figures are fantastic, dude. You know what I mean? They actually, the thing is, like, it's crazy because, like, um, I feel like a lot of not safe for work artists, they output just more art in general, right? They are motivated by their artwork to draw more, and their fan base, obviously, right? And there's something really, there's some extreme benefits you can go that you can get from going that route, okay, right? Because it's required that you draw a figure, right, and know anatomy, right? Because you're depicting the nude figure, right? Or depending on what you're doing, there's could be clothes and stuff like that, but there is the requirement of figuring out anatomy, right? So that's a definite benefit, right? Like, I'll be honest, dude, I've seen not safe work artists and safe work artists, right? And all I gotta say is that the not safe work artists are usually better with figure because they just have had more practice, okay, right? And they know, anatomy better, right? Not all of them, obviously, it depends on the artist, right? But in general, I noticed that not safe for artists way better anatomy for obvious reasons, okay? So that route has that benefit, right? And so, right, like, there are little hidden things that are worth looking over when you're doing not safe for work, right? And like I said, it really, like, the not safe for work aspect, right, really depends on the artwork, right? And like I said, your skill can really mitigate how people react to it, okay? So if you're really, really good, right, and you're doing something like an elegant nude, right, people are not going to care because they're just amazed by the artwork, okay? And it no longer becomes what it is. It's just a beautiful painting, right? No longer is it like whoa, dude, some perverted thing, like, of course some people may think that, right, internally, but in general the acceptance of it, right, is much higher. If you, like, listen, a good nude, everyone could like that, okay? A poorly drawn nude, then I feel like you're a lot more like look at this guy, you know what I mean, right? So there are things to weigh, and knowing your skill and knowing when that's okay to show to people is worth knowing, okay? So like, I just want to give an example of, like, my experience, right? Because, like, I've made work that's like pretty sexy, you know what I mean, right? And sometimes, like, when I'm getting my work framed, right, I'll have to bring it to a frame shop, which is Hobby Lobby, right? Hobby Lobby is a very it has a religious, like, backing to it, kind of like Chick-fil-A, you know what I mean, right? Where there's a lot of, like, I don't know, Christian, Catholic, I'm not sure, like, but there's, like, people who would be more adverse to it, right? And I get scared of the reaction. Like, I always, like, wonder, like, oh, am I gonna have a bad interaction with someone with this, like, sexier work, right? And to my surprise, like, most people are actually very accepting of it, right? Even if they maybe disapprove of it, they're not gonna really say anything to you, right? And like in most cases, like people were like whoa, like that's really cool, or like there's like whoa, there's something very compelling about that, right? They like 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 my a lot of my fear is like having some Karen woman coming and then she'll be like, well, how dare you, but so far it's never happened, right? And that's kind of cool. And so far, like like they like when people talk about it like with me, um it's almost like they don't really see the nude figure anymore. They see it more as a piece of art, right? That is executed well, right? And like, you know, like I said, the execution is the huge part of that, right? If it's done well, right? You know what I mean? Of course, like, if you draw someone getting cum dumped, right? It's, like you're less inclined to bring that into a public place, right? But if it's just something like a nude, right? Um, like, like I said, like some of my like one of my nudes, right? There's straight up Wagyu, okay? Like just spread eagle, right? And but it was presented in a more elegant way, right? And honestly, that was like one of my most popular paintings in like at the shop. You know what I mean? Right? Like people came and like looked at it, right? And so that's when I first like realized that there is something really compelling about nudity, okay, right? And so like there's like dude, there's this one guy, right, who kept walking by and looking at it, right, and he kept making passes, right, and I'm like in my brain I'm just like, dude, if you want to look at it, just come and look at it, tell me how it is, tell me what you think, you know what I mean? Like you don't need to like like making passes at it. I'm like, dude, just look at it, dude. Like, like, I'm not gonna judge you. The framers are gonna judge you. Nobody here's gonna judge you. Just fucking look at it, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you're a guy. We get it. You know what I mean? Right? Even there's like women coming and staring at it too. So it's like nobody gives a shit, dude. Just look at it, right? But yeah. So aside from that, okay. Like I said, skill, very important to like the acceptance of something not safe for work, okay, right? Definite real aspect that you need to consider, right? So like now that we got that out of the way, right, I want to talk about the fan bases, okay, and their reaction to the not safe for work, okay? So obviously, as we all know, not safe for work gets way more attention, especially like on platforms like Twitter, I guess used to be Tumblr, right? DeviantArt, right? There is definitely a benefit to doing not safe for work, and it's easier for your work to blow up if that's the case, right? And so like a lot of people do like kind of like a hybrid, you know what I mean? Sometimes they do safe for work, sometimes they do not safe for work. Some people just do only not safe for work, right? But there is definitely a benefit to doing that, right? However, right, like I said, with the fan base, okay, right, with it, as with any fan base, there are weirdos. There are like like you're gonna get some of the weirdest requests you've ever heard from like oh, I want to commission you for this weird thing, and of course the line that you put and what you're willing to draw, right, is up to you, right? Some people, they're like, I'm not comfortable with drawing underage characters, right? Some people are like, they don't care about that, right? Some people are like, I don't want to do furry stuff, right? And some people are like, I could do furry stuff, and it's like, like, because that makes a lot of money, you know what I mean, right? But the fan base in which your work thrives on can either sweeten or sour how you feel about your work, right? Because not safe for work, they're all coomers, okay, right? And that's okay, right? But depends on what how the coomer is, right? If they're just like very positive, they love your work, they engage with it, right? That's good, that's great, right? But there's people, okay, like I said, there's the freaks out there who are gonna say weird shit, and like, suggest weird things, and like that's just something that you're gonna have to understand, being like a public figure, on the internet, not a public figure, but like a public artist on a platform, right? You're gonna get weirdos. There's gonna be weird requests. You know what I mean? And there's gonna be stuff where you're like, like what I gotta say about those people is you just gotta laugh about it, dude. You know, like you can't take it too seriously. You know what I mean? Like, like my channel, right? I get some like very strange comments, like the most outlandish takes, right? Especially my AI videos, right? If you want to see a circus, dude, go to my AI news videos, right? And you'll see some like some of the craziest takes ever, okay? But like I said, just being part of the internet means that you're gonna deal with some weirdos, okay? And that's okay, right? That's part of it. But knowing that that's part of it is, like part of being that kind of artist. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say safe for work artists don't get weirdos either, because they totally do. You know what I mean? But understand that the not safe for work environment lends itself to more weirdos, okay? But don't let them take away from your work, right? If there's someone bothering you, just block them. You know what I mean? Right? There's a lot of ways to mitigate the weirdos. You know what I mean? Like, don't interact with them. You know what I mean? Like, or just like, like kind of like remove them from your comments, whatever. What have you, right? Just understand that, like there's a way to deal with weirdos. Don't let them get to you, right? Some will get to you, maybe some negative comments, right? And on the other end, right, there's gonna be people who are very puritanical and like you can't draw this, you can't like you can't depict this person, but this character, whatever, and it's like those people, like they're all like, those are like the real weirdos, okay? Because like they're looking at your content, they found your content, and then they're commenting, right? Because they have this weird like they can't accept within themselves that they enjoy that thing, right? So like they have this like kind of like internal battle with themselves on like whether it's okay or not. And so what they do is they lash out, and like they're like I don't like this, you're the problem, and it's understand that those people, it's all within them. You know what I mean? Right? Like a lot of the, like, some people who are very, very vehemently against, whatever, right? What, like just put whatever subject, right? They usually have some weird, like they like it, and they actually really, really like it, but they can't accept that within themselves. You know what I mean? Right? So like, if those people exist, again, just ignore them. Like they're weirdos. They're like why did you, like, if like you could just see the work and just like click not recommend, right? But there's people that are gonna go out of their way to attack you and like this and do all this shit, and it's like just imagine them as some weird Reddit person. You know what I mean? That's just like a weird. Reddit is a terrible place also, right? Reddit is just like number one place for weirdos, okay? But like I said, like there's gonna be those people. Accept that that's a fact, right? Just like block them, or like if there's a weird comment and you have friends who like you can share it with, just like take a moment to like laugh at them. You know what I mean? Like, look at this idiot, dude, right? And then just move on, right? That's the best way. Don't let it get to you, right? And don't try to, depending on who it is, like don't try to fire back, right? You know what I mean? If there's an argument to be made, maybe you can make that argument, right? But if at a certain point you realize that they're not gonna, like, there's no way they're gonna change their mind or anything, or like this person is just too far gone to like even like talk to this person, just get them out. You just don't even deal with that, okay? So would I recommend doing not safe for work, right? If you are a safe for work artist, I would say give it a shot, dude. Give it a shot. There are benefits, right? I would say, like, even if you do it just for yourself and for your own work, right? I think that's fine, right? Because it's a part of the artist's journey that that is worth exploring. You know what I mean? Because it tells something about you as well, right? You find things about yourself, what you like, you know what I mean? And like, whether it's a path that you want to go on or not, right? And obviously there are, the benefits of like maybe you'll get a following out of it, right? But You know, think about the future of what art you want to make. Does not safe for work add to it, or does it like, or you're like, oh, I'm never gonna do work like that, so like whatever, right? um Figure it out, for yourself. But give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it. You know what I mean? And if it, you don't have to share it. Okay, it could just be for you, right? But yeah, I think we'd end the video here, guys. Please, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my Princeton Patreon. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member. Ring that bell for notification, all that bullshit, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.